Apple is pulling a disappearing act. And if you aren't paying close attention right now, you're about to fall right into a massive psychological trap. The entry-level $599 M4 Mac Mini is just gone. Completely vanished from store. No press release, no warning, nothing. It just stopped existing. Now, you might think this is just a standard supply chain hiccup, but let's be real. Mark Gurman and Ming-Chi Kuo have both been hinting at this for weeks, and the latest reports out of DG Times confirm exactly what is going on here. Cupertino is orchestrating a masterclass in behavioral economics right before WWDC 2026. By quietly killing that bottom tier, Apple silently established a new $799 floor for their desktop lineup. So when Tim Cook walks out on stage in June and announces the M5 Mac Mini starting at $699, the crowd is going to cheer for what looks like a generous $100 discount. But it's not. It is a calculated $100 price increase over the original M4 entry point. You are paying the Apple tax, and they're making you smile while you do it. Let's talk about the hardware, because honestly, the physical design is the least surprising part of this leak. If you were hoping for a wild new form factor or some glowing RGB redesign, you can put those dreams to rest right now. The M5 Mac Mini is keeping that exact same 5 by 5-inch ultra-compact aluminum chassis they introduced in late 2024. Ross Young pointed this out recently, and frankly, I think it is the best move. Back in the day, getting this much raw computing power meant you had a massive beige box sitting under your desk, sounding like a small jet engine. Today, it hides neatly behind your monitor. It is completely modular. You bring your own color-accurate displays, your tactile mechanical keyboard, your favorite peripherals, and it seamlessly integrates into your workflow. But what is happening inside that sleek aluminum box is what completely changes the game. We need to separate the real leaks from the marketing noise because the supply chain chatter is getting wild. The ELEC, TrendForce, and Makotakra are all corroborating a strict two-tier approach for the silicon this year. We are getting the standard M5, and then we are getting an absolute monster in the M5 Pro. The standard M5 is slated to feature an 8 to 10 core CPU paired with a 10 to 12 core GPU. In practical terms, you're looking at roughly a 25 to 30% bump in raw processing power over the current M4 models. That is a highly respectable linear generational leap. Your code compile times drop, your high-resolution video timeline scrubbing gets noticeably smoother, and your daily driver experience is generally snappier. But wait, are you guys actually planning to buy the base model, or are you holding out for the Pro version? Let me know down in the comments, because the Pro is where things get genuinely fascinating. Shrimp Apple Pro recently leaked some details about Apple's silicon engineering team, and they are seriously flexing their muscles with the M5 Pro. We're talking about a brand new fusion architecture. They are essentially bridging two separate silicon dies into a single unified powerhouse. The rumors heavily point to an 18-core CPU layout, 6 high-performance supercores alongside 12 standard performance cores. This is a massive departure from their usual heavy reliance on low-power efficiency cores. Apple is building a legitimate workstation-class processor and cramming it into a box the size of a lunchbox. But how do you pack an 18-core chip into a 5-inch box without it instantly experiencing severe thermal throttling and melting into a puddle on your desk? Apple apparently redesigned the entire active cooling system. According to the latest supply chain checks, we are getting a massive copper heatsink and a new acoustic dampening fan that vents entirely out the rear base. Unlike those constantly revving laptops of the Intel era, this machine is designed to stay whisper quiet even when you are rendering out massive 4K video projects. So why does a machine this small need that much brute force? 2 letters, i.e., artificial intelligence has obviously dominated the tech industry for the last 3 years. But Apple is pivoting incredibly hard toward on-device, localized AI processing. The M5 architecture feeder, a heavily redesigned neural engine that is reportedly offering up to 4 times the machine learning performance of the previous generation. 4 times. Developers, researchers, and data scientists are realizing they want the privacy, the security, and the zero-latency response of running large language models directly on local hardware without bleeding capital on recurring cloud computing subscriptions. And Apple's unified memory architecture is uniquely positioned for this. The CPU and GPU pull from the exact same pool of RAM, completely bypassing the severe data bottlenecks you find in traditional PC setups. Speaking of memory, we finally have some fantastic news. The era of the 256GB boot drive is completely dead. Honestly, trying to manage professional video assets or complex virtual machines on a 256GB drive in 2026 is an exercise in pure frustration. The new baseline for the standard M5 Mac Mini is finally officially starting at 16GB of RAM and 512GB of solid-state storage. And if you jump up to the M5 Pro, you are expected to start at a very healthy 24GB of RAM and a 1TB SSD. On top of that, the storage controllers are getting a massive upgrade, potentially delivering read and write speeds up to 50% faster than the M4 line. But the connectivity upgrades on the Pro models are what really caught my eye. The inclusion of Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and most importantly, Thunderbolt 5 completely rewrites the rules for external expansion. Thunderbolt 5 delivers an absolutely staggering 80 to 120 gigabits per second of bandwidth. If you rely on external NVMe storage arrays or you run multiple high refresh rate 6K monitors, this completely eliminates your traditional bottlenecks. It effectively makes your external storage behave identically to an internal drive. So what is the actual smart move here? You have to look past the WWDC keynote slides and honestly evaluate your daily workload. The 25 to 30% CPU gains on the base M5 are believable, and you will absolutely feel them in everyday use. But I'm telling you right now, take those claims of a fourfold increase in AI performance with a moderate grain of salt. That metric is undoubtedly cherry-picked from highly specific optimized tasks, not a universal multiplier for every single piece of software you run. If you're a standard user, just writing, browsing, handling basic photo editing, and cutting standard web video, the base M5 is going to be spectacularly overkill. Honestly, buying the M5 Pro for those tasks is like buying a heavy-duty dual rear-wheel pickup truck just to commute to a corporate office job. It will absolutely get you there, but it is a severe misallocation of your funds. On the other hand, if your livelihood depends on rendering complex 3D environments, color grading raw cinema camera footage, or compiling massive code bases, the M5 Pro's Fusion architecture and Thunderbolt 5 support will practically pay for itself in retrieve time. In the professional world, time is your most expensive commodity, and the M5 Pro is expressly designed to buy it back. As we move closer to the summer, the strategy is absolutely clear. The M5 Mac Mini is shaping up to be an absolute powerhouse, blending a proven compact footprint with genuine workstation-level capabilities. The entry price is technically going up, but the baseline specifications are finally aligning with modern professional realities. If you appreciate this kind of grounded, hype-free analysis of the Apple ecosystem, make sure to hit the like button, leave a thoughtful comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the hardware that actually matters. Are you holding out for the M5 launch in June? Or does the forced price hike make you want to stick with your current setup for a few more years? Let me know your exact upgrade plans down in the comments.